I'm going to talk about a website called eharmony, and I'm going to tell you why I think that some of its claims are a scam, a fraud, etc. So eHarmony claims that they have some sort of magical ability to match you based on proven personality traits and all this stuff, and it's just a load of absolute nonsense. And I'm going to tell you um, the reason why it's absolute nonsense, and I'm going to tell you some other things about this site that really makes me not like the site. And I'm not saying it's a complete waste of time. It might be a great website for you, but some of the claims are just not true. Um, First of all, I lived in a city. It wasn't the largest city in America. It's a smaller city. It's ranked around 150th in terms of population. And after 1 month, I got matched with everyone in the city. So what happens is, how can they say that they're matching me based on the best person if they're matching me with everybody? After 30 days, there were just no more matches. And what I discovered, they give you like 5 people a day, so it's like 150 people in your city, in my city, was on the website. And what I discovered from other sites like Match.com, for example, they might have 10,000 profiles in your city, but there might only be a few hundred people that are active. And if you're in one of the smaller cities like Rochester, New York, or Charlotte, I don't know if Charlottesville is a small city, or Austin, Texas, it's a medium-sized city. You know, you're not going to have 10,000 active people. The active number of people is a lot smaller than the number of members that they have. So another reason why the personality thing is complete garbage. One of the questions that they asked me is, are you a risk taker? And I said, yeah, sure, I'm a risk taker. But when it asks you, who do you want to meet? It never said, do you want to meet a risk taker? So what did they match that with? They had to have matched it with something. What they ask you is, do you want to meet someone who likes to gamble? And the problem is, gambling has a very negative connotation. It implies that you go and spend money with a chance of winning or losing, and you might have a habit, a bad habit. There's no such thing as a wise gambler. Most gambling is a foolish activity, but risk taking is not. And that's one of the things that they're doing. So if you put down you're a risk taker, you're going to be rejected by all the women who are anti-gambling, which is going to be all of them. So there's a lot of things that they claim in their matchmaking that's just complete garbage. And that was not the only question. There were other questions that made absolutely no sense, where they would ask you something, but they give it a different meaning when they ask you what you're looking for as compared to how you describe yourself. So another issue about the site is that they exclude short men and they exclude fat women. And I don't know if they still do it today, but when I was a member like 20 years ago or 10 years ago, they excluded short men and they excluded fat women. And I seem to recall that 5'7" was too short. And what you do is you would spend a long time, like a half an hour, taking their survey, and they say, oh, we're sorry, there's some people that we just can't find a match for. What that really means is you're either too short or you're too fat. And I figured, I don't know how I figured this out, but I put down, I'm 5'6". I put down that I was like 5'9", and I redid it, and they accepted me. I said, oh, this thing's a scam. Somehow I figured out it was height related, and then I went back and I lowered my height. So that was one of the examples of how the site's a scam. You know, they imply that there's something wrong with your personality, that they can't match you, when in fact it's your physical appearance that doesn't match you. So the other thing is that all the personality questions were just so general. They're nothing that I would ever present myself to another person or ask somebody. I don't go around saying, are you a risk taker? I would never ask that to a woman on a first date. You know, I would say things like, do you like to travel? And even if you have that, I mean, traveling can be sports travel, adventure. It could be going hiking. It could be I like archaeology. It could be visiting different cities. I did traveling on my motorcycle. I like to do day trips. There's big city travel. There's going out in the country, natural wonders, landmarks like Paris. A lot of people like to sit on the beach, which I don't like. There's a lot of ways to describe travel. To have one travel question doesn't match you with someone else who likes to travel. The personality questions that they ask were just not applicable to me, and they're probably not applicable to most people. And as I said before, they're just absolute nonsense. The other issue is, like most dating sites, it's primarily photo driven and looks and appearances driven. It's your photo that sells yourself. I always read everything that people wrote, but ultimately, there's a lot of people, photographs are a priority, and people who have the right photos are always going to get more responses than those who have ugly photos. It's just a fact. It's not really personality driven. If it were, you would know more about the personality of the person. I'm going to give you an example. There's another website, I don't remember the name, where you could put up a video and they ask you so many personality questions, and they really get in depth in your personality, and you can put your video up so people can see what your personality is like. But eHarmony is not a site that does that. I think that their claims are complete garbage, and obviously you use this site, you either meet somebody or you don't, but the marketing is not true.